Imagine the unthinkable. Over 1,400 children abused in a single UK town. Hundreds more across the country. For decades. While authorities knew, they preyed on innocence. Not in the darkness of distant lands, but in our very own towns, on our very own streets. These were not solitary monsters. They were organized, systematic. And for years, they operated with a terrifying impunity, while the system built to protect our children looked the other way. What if the ultimate threat to your child wasn't a stranger in the shadows, but a secret festering within the very fabric of your community? This isn't just a story of a wrongful conviction. This is a psychological dissection of betrayal, of children trapped in a waking hell, prisoners of predators, while the true monsters vanished into the shadows. How does a soul survive such an exquisite torture? How does a system, built on the promise of truth, become the architect of its own grotesque lie? Tonight, we drag that buried truth into the brutal light. We confront the abyss of systemic injustice. We expose the raw, unfiltered terror of living a stolen life. Prepare to witness the unraveling, because once you step into this nightmare, you'll never see justice the same way again. The grooming began insidiously, not with violence, but with a calculated seduction of the vulnerable. They targeted young, impressionable girls, some as young as 10 years old, often those already marginalized, children in social care or with disabilities, or from troubled homes. This was a crucial class dynamic at play. These were girls society often overlooked, making them prime targets for predators who knew they could operate with less scrutiny. Consider Emma, a pseudonym used in her testimony. She was just 12 years old when the gifts started coming, a false sense of friendship offered by older men. It was a systematic process, a chilling blueprint for exploitation. Once trust was meticulously built, victims were isolated, then subjected to coercion. Drugs and alcohol were plied, intended to incapacitate them, to blur the lines of their reality, making them compliant. And then, the true horror began. In squalid flats, dark alleyways, cold warehouses, these children were brutalized, subjected to repeated rapes, gang rapes, their bodies treated as mere commodities. They were traded, trafficked to different locations, sometimes even other cities like Leeds or Bradford, for as little as 40 pounds. Imagine your daughter, your sister, reduced to a transaction. Some survivors recounted being raped by 5 men in succession in one night, or by 20 men while intoxicated. In Oxford, one 12-year-old girl, impregnated by the gang, was forced to undergo a backroom abortion using a bicycle spoke. The depths of depravity were limitless. But the physical abuse was only one layer of torment. Perpetrators meticulously gathered personal information about victims and their families. This data became a weapon. Threats were issued. Threats against loved ones, against disclosure. Emma, a Rotherham victim, recalled her abusers explicitly threatening to rape her mother if she didn't cooperate. This psychological terror, this calculated invasion of their entire world, forced countless children into a horrifying silence. What would you do if your child didn't come home? These were not isolated acts of depravity. They were orchestrated networks thriving on vulnerability and secrecy. And as we will discover, their chilling impunity was not just due to their cunning, but because, for too long, the system itself was allegedly blind. How does such widespread horror persist for decades, right under the nose of authority? The answer is as devastating as the abuse itself. A systemic, profound failure rooted in what many describe as a culture of denial and fear. Early warnings, explicit and urgent, were consistently overlooked. In Rotherham, names of alleged perpetrators were given to police and the council as early as 2001, yet the first convictions didn't come until 2010. Even earlier, in the 1990s, care home managers noted taxi drivers exploiting children, but police declined action. Emma, as young as 13, tried to get help. Her attempts were tragically ignored. In Rochdale, a dedicated youth worker, Sarah Robotham, made over 100 attempts to alert police and social services between 2003 and 2014. Her warnings, her pleas for these children, were largely dismissed as unreliable witnesses. Imagine yelling into the void, knowing the monsters are still at work, while those sworn to protect turn away. This wasn't just incompetence, it was a conscious choice. Baroness Casey's audit uncovered deep-rooted institutional failures, spanning decades, characterized by blindness, ignorance, prejudice, and defensiveness. In Rotherham, council staff were explicitly instructed not to mention the ethnicity of the perpetrators in reports. A Channel 4 documentary on the issue in Bradford was delayed in 2004 because police feared it would inflame racial tensions. This fear of being labeled racist or causing community tensions became a perverse priority. It led to a deliberate suppression of crucial information, a profound reluctance to investigate specific patterns of offending. It fostered what many victims and whistleblowers describe as a conspiracy of silence, where officials were more afraid of being called racist than they were afraid of abusing children. This wasn't just neglect. It was an active betrayal that left vulnerable children at the mercy of their abusers. Evidence was lost. Files disappeared, like the critical data on perpetrators from the risky business office in Rotherham. Reports were buried. Investigations were dropped. This was a system protecting itself, rather than protecting the innocent. But some dared to break the deafening silence. Parents, youth workers, even police officers. They stepped forward, their voices trembling with outrage and grief, only to find themselves facing yet another layer of systemic cruelty. Parents, frantic with worry, alerted authorities to their missing or exploited daughters. They were met with judgment, accused of poor parenting, or told their daughters were simply making lifestyle choices. Imagine that agony. Your child is being brutalized, and the very people meant to help you blame you. Fathers who physically tried to rescue their daughters from houses where they knew they were being abused were arrested themselves. One Rotherham father was arrested for criminal damage after smashing a door trying to retrieve his daughter, while the perpetrator was left at liberty. This inversion, treating distraught parents as offenders, left families feeling utterly betrayed. Whistleblowers like Sarah Robotham in Rochdale, who made over 100 attempts to alert authorities, and Jane Sr. in Rotherham, who dedicated over a decade to exposing CSE, compiled extensive evidence. Their reward? They were dismissed as nuisances, their projects shut down. Sarah Robotham experienced emotional breakdowns from the constant dismissal. Jane Sr., despite her relentless efforts, was forced out of her council job, facing indifference and scorn. Their meticulously gathered reports were, shockingly, not even read by the police. This institutional resistance, described as an institutional mountain, protected reputations, not children. It took brave investigative journalists like Andrew Norfolk of The Times, acting on information from whistleblowers like Jane Sr., to finally force the issue into the national consciousness in 2011. His reporting revealed that authorities had known about the Rotherham abuse for over a decade. Even then, attempts were made to prevent publication, reflecting official resistance. The consequences for victims were devastating and lifelong. Severe psychological trauma, PTSD, anxiety, depression, eating disorders, suicidal ideation, physical scars, STIs, unwanted pregnancies, even forced abortions. And the final cruel irony, many victims were then blamed by authorities, portrayed as promiscuous or child prostitutes, compounding their trauma, re-victimizing them, and making them feel worthless. Emma herself recalled police losing crucial evidence she provided, being told it was her word against the abusers, and feeling she had to withdraw her complaint to protect her family from further menace. Some parents even resorted to moving their children out of the country to escape the gangs. And as the truth slowly clawed its way into the light, another poisonous element emerged: accusations of Islamophobia. The focus on perpetrators of predominantly Asian and Pakistani heritage, though statistically relevant in these specific organized networks, was exploited. Headlines explicitly linked ethnicity, culture, and faith to child sexual exploitation. This narrative, amplified by certain political agendas and social media, including figures like Elon Musk on X, triggering surges in Islamophobic narratives, fueled prejudice against entire communities, creating a moral panic. Far-right groups like the English Defence League held marches in Rotherham, ostensibly in support of victims, but really to advance anti-Muslim agendas. This sometimes led to violence, tragically, as seen with the murder of an 81-year-old Asian man in Rotherham, erroneously called a groomer during his assault. This isn't about ethnicity, it's about criminal deviance and systemic failure. As Rotherham survivor Sammy Woodhouse and others have pleaded, this isn't about race, it's about protecting kids. Yet, balancing this crucial distinction in public discourse remains a profound challenge. The painful question then became, was justice itself being applied differently? While grooming gangs in Rotherham, Rochdale, and Telford often involved Asian and Pakistani heritage men, nationally, the picture of child sexual abuse is much broader. Most convicted child sex offenders in the UK overall are white men, often acting alone or in familial settings. Exploitation isn't race-specific. It thrives on power imbalances and systemic blind spots, regardless of background. This is a global issue. From Australia's inquiries into institutional child abuse to similar patterns seen across different demographics, the underlying vulnerabilities remain constant. In the early phases, fear of being accused of racism caused police and councils to tread too softly. This reluctance, arguably, hindered investigations and justice itself. Police were accused of holding discriminatory attitudes towards victims, dismissing them as undesirables or as child prostitutes, making lifestyle choices. In Rotherham, a 13-year-old found distressed with grown men was arrested for intoxication, not the men. This systemic failure to treat children as legitimate victims directly allowed perpetrators to escape justice. The Crown Prosecution Service, CPS, faced intense criticism for failures to prosecute. In 2008, the CPS declined to prosecute Rochdale grooming gang suspects, deeming a victim not credible due to her troubled background. This grave mistake left the men free to abuse more girls. Rape charges were downgraded based on a flawed perception of consent, a horrifying disregard for the legal age of consent. Only after public outrage, damning inquiries like the J Report, and relentless campaigning by survivors and whistleblowers did the glacial pace of reform begin. Organizations like the National Crime Agency stepped in. Mandatory ethnicity data collection for CSE suspects. Tougher laws ensuring mandatory rape charges for adults exploiting children under 16. Specialized police units and improved training are now being implemented. The Grooming Gangs Task Force, established in 2023, has already led to over 550 arrests and identified 4,000 victims by May 2024. But the fight is far from over. Despite 15 years of reports, reviews, inquiries, and investigations, too little has changed. Many recommendations from past inquiries have yet to be fully implemented, revealing a deep-seated institutional inertia. The trauma is immeasurable. The stolen childhoods, the shattered trust, the long, agonizing road to healing for countless victims. For decades, vulnerable children were subjected to horrific abuse. Their pleas often met with indifference, disbelief, and even blame by the very authorities tasked with their protection. The courage of those who broke the silence, the whistleblowers, the families, the journalists like Andrew Norfolk, forced a nation to look inward, to confront the conspiracy of silence, the institutional self-preservation that prioritized reputation over the sacred duty of safeguarding children. This systemic avoidance, influenced by a perverse fear of political incorrectness, prolonged the abuse and compounded the suffering. The inquiries, the reports, the new laws, they are steps, necessary steps. But the real change must be a profound cultural transformation within every institution. It means prioritizing a child's welfare above all else. It means fostering unwavering vigilance and undeniable accountability. And it means finally, unequivocally, believing children. The silence has been shattered, the truth laid bare. But for all the monsters unmasked, for all the victims bravely coming forward, a chilling question lingers. Are there more? And are we, as a society, truly ready to confront the depths of this darkness, without fear, without prejudice, to ensure that no child ever again becomes another statistic in a system that tried to forget? Support survivor charities like the NSPCC or demand mandatory training for police on grooming cases. Share this video if you believe no child should be silenced.